Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothe the grass, which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
According to the Holy Scriptures, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, is set to bring immortality to the nation of Israel, the elect, via establishing the tabernacle of David. As we talk about the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, he is coming to take down this current world ruled by Esau, Edom, and establish a righteous kingdom which is synonymous with the throne of David. That's scriptural, which is a government that's going to run this world in righteousness.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. All right. And what I want to get into today is go into a lesson, entitled, the earth needs new management. All right. The planet Earth needs new management. Okay. And as you can see, the earth, is become an entire, all right, shit show. All right. Under the rulership of Esau Edom. Okay. And all his poor, management of the earth is now coming to the surface at once. All right. Because it's not like the devil just started being a terrible ruler. Okay. But he was able to deceive, manipulate, distract. Okay. And, shower people with convenience and, particular things. But now, the devil, is trying to transition into his new world order where all the flaws of the old world, okay, are coming out. Okay. And at the end of the day, this devil is not fit, all right, to be in rulership. And that's why the Lord has an appointed time, all right, where this man's rulership ends. Okay. When people go to talk about, what needs to be done, and they argue about the president, they argue about Democrat and Republican, they argue about the economy, and they argue about government spending and all these things, anything that you can, all right, argue about, have a debate about. Okay, at the end of the day, the problem of the planet Earth, okay, is that Edomites are in power. The Earth has an Edomite problem. Okay, it's not an economic problem. Okay, it's not a political problem. No, it's a Edomite problem. The Earth is plagued with Edomite rulership. Okay, when you go into the scriptures, you see. Matter of fact, let's go here. All right, because these devils, they love, to imply that civilization started with the Greeks. Well, according to the scriptures, okay, when the Greeks, all right, got into power, you see what was let's go here. Matter of fact, I started one just reading to it. It's the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay, so this is going back, okay, into the time, all right, of the Greeks, all right, which were Edomites. The original Greeks were Japhetic people, all right, but Esau, okay, has supplanted them. Okay, so we're reading about, all right, the Greeks coming into power. Okay, and this was under Alexander, all right, which you can link Alexander to his father Philip the Macedonian back to Amalek, okay, which is the tribe of Esau Edom, all right, the grandson of Esau, okay, which became a sect of Esau, a sect of Edomites, okay, and these are the Edomites, all right, they're at the top, all right, they're they are the elites of Esau's power structure today. Let me see. Let me see real quick. Do some historians. Let me see if it'll give us some. Yep. So let's get this real quick. All right. So let's get what the historians say. And then let's deal with what the Bible says. Okay. So I asked to do some historians, all right, say that civilization started with the Greeks. Okay. Now, when you read it, says yes, some older historians, especially from the 18th and 19th centuries, did argue that civilization began with the Greeks. They said this because they view ancient Greeks as the birthplace of philosophy, democracy, theater, science, and art, all things they associated with civilization in the Western sense. Thinkers like Jacob, all right, Burckhardt, Edwin Gibbon, and others in the Western, all right, canon often treated Greek culture as the starting point of Western civilization. Okay, and when the Greeks came into power, because we're going to go into the scriptures, what happened to the earth? Okay, what happened to the earth? You see, so let's go there. All right, because that what goes back to that era of enlightenment, the 18th, 19th century. That's post, all right, enlightenment era. Okay, well, these devils, they begin to tap into, all right, the philosophy, okay, the gods, okay, of the ancient empires, especially, the culture and even the medicine of the Greeks. Okay, this is the Greco-Roman Empire revived in the earth. Okay, so let's hit a record given by the scriptures, because the scriptures is the authority, okay, and the true records, okay, of these nations that have came into power. Okay, and it made many wars back in First Maccabees. All right, 1 and 2. It says it made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. He gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. All right, and he was able, to have his way, to go out and conquer because it was prophesied. Daniel the 7th chapter, Daniel the 8th chapter, well, it was prophesied, that he was going to take down this vast, Medo-Persian empire. Okay, so you had this to happen, under Alexander, the Greeks coming to power. He became, this is the first empire of Esau, because empire is when you have other kingdoms, okay, under your authority. You see, when kings got to check in with you, that's an empire. Okay, King Solomon, King David, they had an empire. Okay, and that's what's coming back to the earth for us in righteousness, man. Okay, it says, and after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. All right, and eventually you will have, his kingdom split, okay, into 4, different kingdoms, amongst his generals. Okay, the Ptolemaic Empire, the Seleucid Empire, all right, Cassander, okay, and Lacedaemon. Okay, it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. All right, and his servants bear rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So they're their sons after them many years. So this is a, Edomite dynasty under the Greeks. It says, and evils, it's the point, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So the Bible gives a record that when this man, all right, Esau Edom, when he came into power, evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay? You see, so when you go into the source, okay, or the problem that's in the planet Earth, well, it goes back to the rulership of Esau Edom. Okay? All the problems of the earth is rooted in the rulership of a wicked nation of people. Okay? So you go from there. Let's get this real quick. All right, and that's why, as Israelites, we should be in the spirit, okay, of a new kingdom, a new rulership. You see? Matter of fact, let's go here. Let's segue. We'll get there towards the end. So let's go here to the book of Malachi. Okay, I got some other stuff on the chat I want to get into. Okay, but when you go into matter of fact, Salaki, I know what I want to do. Let's stay in Ezra. Try to keep it in chronological order. So the Greeks, okay, had a bad report with their rulership. All right, and then who came after the Greeks? Okay, the Romans. Okay, and what was the report on the rulership of the Romans? All right, let's go here. I got it in GNT. I had read it in GNT. All right, now you go to Second Ezra, the 11th chapter. All right, and it goes through, okay, the Roman Empire under Esau. From Julius Caesar. All right, all the way down to Domitian. All right, Domitia. Okay, which was the last, all right, Edomite. All right, to rule before Jake. Okay, started to rule as Caesars. Okay, in the Roman Empire. You see? Now, when you go into this, all right, this lion, which we know is Yahweh Shai, all right, is speaking to pagan Rome, okay, and he's going to give, okay, a report of his rulership, all right. He's going to condemn his rulership. You see? So you had the Greeks that were Edomites that came into power, and then the Romans, they absorbed, all right, the Greeks, all right, those Greek city-states became province of the Roman Empire, okay? So now you have Edomites ruling as Romans, okay? So let's hear what the scriptures say about their report, okay? So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 11, all right? And let's start at verse 37. It says, I looked, and this is Ezra seeing his vision. Okay, he's seeing the eagle, you know, he's seeing, these Roman Caesars coming and going. Okay. And then it gets to the end. All right, he sees a lion that comes to have a dialogue, okay, with this eagle. It's pretty much not a dialogue, it's the lion, which Yahweh Shai, telling this eagle about himself, all right, which represents, all right, pagan Rome, Edom Rome. It says, I looked and saw what appeared to be an angry lion come roaring out of the forest. I heard it speak in human language to the eagle and say, listen, eagle, all right, to what I have to say to you. It is the message of the Most High Power. You are the only one left of the 4 animals that I appointed to govern my world and bring it, all right, and bring the ages of this world to an end. Okay, so this is speaking of the 4th beast, which was pagan Rome. All right, now we know what the 4th beast was revived. Okay, we're gonna get that. You see, and the 4th beast, all right, and the scriptures say he will have power. You go into this new Roman Empire, America, NATO, and EU. It will have the ability to exercise what the power, okay, of the first beast before it, which was speaking of the 4th beast in the book of Daniel, which is the Roman, okay, Empire. Okay, so we know this empire was revived as being rebuked by this lion. Okay, and this time the lion, Yahweh Shai, all right, he's coming, to wage war. Okay, with the beast, man, with the dragon. Okay, so you are the only one left of the 4 animals. Okay, because you go into Daniel 7. All right, you have the lion with wings. Okay, was the Syrian Babylonian Empire. Okay, you had the bear. Okay, to represent the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, then you had the leopard, Salaki, the leopard, which represent the Greeks. Okay, and then you had this 4th beast. Okay, which was the Romans. Okay, so this is the empire that's being rebuked in this chapter. Okay, and you can tie in this 4th beast coming back. Okay, as America, NATO, and EU. All right, and this same angry lion, Yahweh Shai, is going to come back and just wage war and put this kingdom out of its misery, man. Okay, it says, you are the only one left of the 4 animals that I appointed to govern my world and to bring the ages of this world to an end. You are the 4th animal, and you have conquered all the animals that came before you. As long as you have been in this world, you have ruled it through terror, oppression, and deceit. Okay, you are the 4th animal, and you have conquered all the animals, because the Roman Empire conquered all the previous empires before it. It consumed all of them into itself. Okay, and how did it rule? It said rule through terror, oppression, and deceit, with a total disregard for truth. You have viciously attacked harmless people who are living in peace. You have hated those, all right, who spoke the truth. You have loved liars. You have destroyed the homes, Okay, you have destroyed the homes of those who were prosperous, and have torn down the walls of those who did you no harm. All right. So hey, this Howard Shah is cussing. All right, this bitch out, man. You know, it said you hated those who spoke truth. Okay, because you had what, the persecution of the churches that started under Nero. All right, and Dementia was known for being real hard on, all right, the believers as well. Okay, you see, and then Rome was known just being a bully. You know, because it had that strength, that military might. Okay, the wealth, it was just a bully. You know, it just sucked up all the prosperity out of the earth. Okay, and see, Esau has done a hell of a job of romanticizing the Roman Empire as if it was just this, you know, this, it was just this, the way that Esau pushed Rome, you know, through Hollywood. Okay, you would think it was just this great, you know, it's known for what, its architecture, its engineering. Okay, you know, its culture is, you know, like it was just this great asset. You know, like it just, you know, was this brilliant empire. Okay, but this place was wicked. It was anti-Messiah and it was tyrannical, man. Okay, it says the Most High knows how proud and arrogant you are. The Almighty One, okay, has looked back over the world he established. The end has come. The final age is over. Okay, so ancient Rome was known for what? Its arrogance. Okay, its pride. You see, and it's back. Ain't nothing changed but the technology, man. It has looked back over the world he established. The end has come. The final age is over. So, eagle, all right, the time has come for you to vanish along with your big, terrible wings, your small, wicked wings, your evil heads, your awful claws, and your whole worthless body. Whole worthless body, man. The Esau Edom is worthless as a ruler, man. Okay, so all those Caesars, you know, they came, okay, out of this time period, what they call Pax Romana, all right, or Pax Romana. You see, these people were worthless, man, worthless leaders, man. Okay, and they ruled through oppression, tyranny. They was proud. Okay, they destroyed the peace in the earth. You see, same way that the devil rules today, man. So now he has more technology, which gives him more range to do wickedness, man. It said the entire world will be set free from your violence and renewed as it sets its hope on judgment and mercy of the Most High who created it. Okay? And see now what has happened. Let's go here. What has this devil done? You know, because pagan Rome fell. All right. You know, you had the Western Roman Empire completely, you know, it vanished, you know, and Jake, you know, was still ruling under the Byzantine. That's where you have the Holy Roman Empire. And Jake wasn't, perfect. You know, Jake was going off, you know, especially that nigga Constantine. Okay. But you had, you know, a more civilized rulership under the Byzantine Empire than under Esau, man. Okay. You know, you had a little more order. You know, they got rid of the games. You see, the Colosseum, you know, you know, you see, they were so called into the, you know, to the Bible. Like the Bible was political, you know, but it was, all right, there was some, all right, residue of righteousness, under the Byzantine Empire than when it was straight Edom, you know. So let's go here because you go to Malachi, you know, to link these things up. Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4 in the NLT. It says, Esau's descendants in Edom may say, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. Okay, and this is the fall, okay, of Rome. Okay, the fall of the eagle. Okay, Esau was pushed to the side. Okay, he had no influence in the earth, you know, and everything he built, okay, all right, it's pagan Rome, okay, was shattered. Okay, it said, but the Lord of heaven's armies replied, they may try to build, but I will demolish them again. Their country will be known as the land of wickedness, and their people will be called the people with whom the Lord is angry forever. So these devils have rebuilt, all right, the Greco-Roman Empire, and they rule in the same fashion, oppressive, tyrannical. Okay, they destroy the peace in the earth. Okay, they rule in the same fashion. Okay, so like I say, with more technology will give them more reach. All right, but the Lord will be angry, you know, with this people forever. You see, so the Lord, all right, is finna show. We're finna see the Lord's anger against Esau. When we say Esau have I hated, when we go into that, we finna see that now. Okay, this is what we're getting ready to see because the problem of the earth is Edomite rulership. Okay, and even when you go back, let's go here, and then we're gonna go to this man's end. Okay, so let's go here real quick. I got something else pulled up on the chat. All right, so when you go here, yep. So I asked it. I asked the chat. I said, "Would ancient Rome be considered tyrannical by modern standards? Would it be considered oppressive to the poor with the deception of privilege?" Okay, and you're going to see this lines up exactly with the style of rulership we see today. So it said that's a fascinating question. And yes, by modern democratic, all right, and human rights standards, ancient Rome would absolutely be considered, okay, tyrannical and oppressive even during this modern, all right, like even during this most republic or civilized phases. Let's break that down clearly. All right, political power and tyranny. No democracy as we know it, even in the Roman Republic before the emperors, only a small portion of the population, wealthy male citizens, could vote or hold office. Women slaves and most non-citizens were excluded. Political offices were dominated by a small elite, all right, the patricians, and later, all right, the nobiles. All right, it says the Senate was not elected in a modern sense, but filled with aristocrats for life. All right, these elite, all right, these few elite ruling families. Okay, and it says, and they made laws that benefited. Okay, they set up laws that benefited what a few elite families. It said the emperor held ultimate power. Though the Senate continued to exist, it functioned more as a rubber stamp. Deceit, all right, dissent could mean exile or execution. By modern definition, this would be a dictatorship or autocracy. Okay, oppression and class structure. Like I said, Esau, he romanticizes Rome. Okay, as it was just this elegant, you know, graceful, you know, and just humanitarian, people loving, you know, society. Nah, man, Rome was tyrannical, man. Okay, and they had major inequalities that we see. Okay, the inequalities that we see today, this goes back to Rome. Okay, and it's going to go into oppression and class structure, extreme inequality, wealth and privilege were concentrated in the hands of a few elite families. The majority, plebeians, freedmen, and slaves, lived with little power or security. Okay, same thing. All right, we see today, man. As much as 30 to 40% of the population in Italy at certain times were enslaved. They had no rights at all and could not be beaten, sold, or killed at will. Poor citizens, okay? All right, so this chattel slavery, man. You know, because even in we had, because see, there's laws of how to do slavery, man. And that's why when people think of slavery, they think of the way Esau did it. Okay? Because even their first 1,000 years of our captivity, we remember that's going to be a punishment, okay, to these nations. And after that 1,000 years, it's going to be a way, okay, to do slavery, man. And the way Esau did it and does it is not it. Now you can the scripture speak about stripes, for a disobedient slave, okay. But this nigga would take things to another level. Even in the Bible, you had only so many times you can whip the slave. Okay? And the way this nigga does it is completely inhumane. How he did slavery. All right? And it says poor citizens often fell in debt, slavery, or relied on elite patrons for survival. Okay, so debt, to the lower class was a thing in ancient Rome. Creating systems of dependence rather than empowerment. All right, doesn't this man create dependence? Okay, in America, doesn't America have a poor, class that depends, on government? Okay, it says you're touching on something very insightful here. Rome maintained social stability partly through a spectacle and symbolic privilege, which masks deep inequality, and that's what America has been able to pull off. You see, you people have symbolic privilege. You don't have real privilege, man. When you really try to build, okay, there's laws set up against you really building in this society. The common man really trying to build and establish something, there's laws set up against it. Okay? Like if you as a man, you have an inheritance and you pass it down to your son, do you know your son has to pay taxes on all your inheritance? Okay, and a lot of people have to end up selling majority of the inheritance back to the state, okay, just to pay those taxes off. If you have like real inheritance, lands and things, man. Okay. But then you can go to the sports bar and watch the game and get drunk. You're free to do that. Okay. So most of the privilege in ancient Rome was symbolic. Most of privilege in America is symbolic. You really don't have privilege outside of partying. Okay. You really don't have privilege. You see, you can kick it, you can be entertained as much as you want, but true privilege, you really don't have that. Wealth creation, you really don't have the privilege to create wealth under this system, man. Okay. So going back into it, it says through spectacle and symbolic privilege was mass deep in quality. Bread and circuses, okay, even going to vote. That's symbolic. You really don't have a part in you don't have a say so in the direction the way the country is going. Okay, that's symbolic. You go vote, that's symbolic, man. Okay. It says free grain and public entertainment, gladiator games, festival gave the poor, a sense of participation and pride, a kind of emotional compensation for political powerlessness. Citizenship as an illusion of equality. Okay? Citizenship as an illusion of equality. Roman citizenship was portrayed as an honor, but it didn't grant true equality. Class all right, distinctions still define what rights you actually had. Okay, it says ideals like romantic, Romanitas, duty and pietas help justify hierarchy, convincing people that obedience to the state was noble and divinely sanctified. Okay, so America has been one scam. All right, and this idea of being an American, okay, is symbolic privilege. Okay, and this sense of honor, for contributing to America in some type of fashion, man. Your fellow American. Okay, it says in this sense, yes, Rome offered illusion of inclusion and privilege to maintain social order while perceiving oligarchic, all right, oligarchic dominance, all right, which is the rule, all right, of wicked families, man. Okay, of a few wicked families. Okay, because aristocrat, there's nothing wrong with, because in our kingdom it's going to be the rule of righteous families. Okay, Esau, his rulership is a rulership of wicked families, of oligarch, because aristocracy is the best families in rulership. Okay, and Yahweh Shai, those 144,000 men, those are going to be the best families. All right, the aristocracy that's going to rule in righteousness, man. You see, there you go. It says, by modern standards, if you apply today's principles, rule of law, equality, universal suffrage, human rights, ancient Rome will be seen as authoritarian or outright tyrannical. Okay. It says militaristic citizenship tied to military service and conquest, deeply classist, all right, patriarchal and slave dependent. Okay, which nothing wrong, with having slaves. All right. Well, there's a standard, okay, and there's an order and structure to that. Okay. But let's go back, just want to get that. So let's go here. And this is why when Yahweh Shai comes, okay, he's coming to deal with the problem of the earth. Okay, let's go here to the book of Isaiah 63. Yahweh Shai is coming to deal with the source of the problem. All right. Isaiah 63 and 1. This in the KJV. All right, Isaiah 63 and 1, it says, who is this that coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Okay, and this is Yahweh Shai. That's who coming. This is post destruction. You see, this is that glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Okay, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. You see? So Yahweh Shai, he's coming to deal with the source of the problem of the planet Earth, and it's Esau Edom, man. Okay? Every time this nigga comes into power, okay, oppression, tyranny, death, deception, lewdness, all these things increase, man. Okay? Every time this nigga gets into power, the earth becomes chaotic. Okay? Weird, freaky, lewd, okay? Extreme poverty. Okay, every time this nigga come into power, the same thing happening. That's why Yahweh Shai coming to take this man out of power. Okay, for good. Okay, matter of fact, let's get this in Revelation 19. Then we jump to 12. All right, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and verse 12. All right, I started 2. This is Revelation 19 and 2. It says, for true and righteous are his judgments. All right, for he have judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants in her hand. So Esau is charged with what, man? And this is speaking of America, all right, which has been the centerpiece, okay, of this wicked empire, okay, the revived Rome in the earth, okay. It said, which what did corrupt the earth. You see, Esau rulership has corrupted the earth, man. The problems with Esau, every complaint that we can have, okay, is a product of Esau, man. The nigga woman, young niggas, all right, the economy, the food, all right, everything that you can complain about, this modern marriage, okay, everything that you can complain about goes back to this nigga being in power, okay. And that's why you go to Revelation 12, okay, and 7. All right. And it says, and there was war in heaven. Okay. This is heaven speaking of the atmosphere. Okay. When you go outside and look up in the air, this is where this war is going to take place. Okay. Speaking in the atmosphere, man. Okay. It says Michael and his angels. Okay. Which Michael's a representative what? Of the heavenly host. Okay. Under Yahushua. All right. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Okay. So this dragon, Rome reloaded. Okay. So now these devils gonna finally get that smoke that they thought Yahweh Shah was coming with the first time. Now he's finna bring that to you. Come directly. All right. Yahweh Shah finna come and clash with this Greco-Roman Empire, this new Greco-Roman Empire, man. Okay. It says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. Okay. So you devils, you lose. Okay, and this is the message that they want to remove from the internet, the message of the gospel, the good news for, all right, the hopeful elect. Okay, this is what they want to get rid of because they lose, man. They're not going to prevail. All right, and Yahushua comes back, it's over. All right, the end of Rome forever. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Okay. So let you know that the spirit, okay, of the serpent, going back to the garden, all right, was a man, okay, where he had those serpent-like qualities, crafty, sneaky, patient, okay, and then it goes into the Hebrew word kash, which goes into what? A diviner, okay. He was into what? The dark magic and the arts, okay, called the devil, the deceiver, Satan, the adversary, and it describes Esau, even that's the spirit of Esau. Okay, he's adverse to righteousness. He's a deceiver. Okay, he's a serpent. Okay, but this is the government structure that runs the earth, man. The mind of the old serpent is in power. Okay, it said which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast with him, and that's his rules. That's his military being destroyed, his air force being destroyed, man. Okay, because that's you know the main power. You know, that's been the main way the devil has projected his power through his air force. Okay, through his military. Okay, but his militaries are going to be destroyed. Okay, everything that he has stationed in the atmosphere, fighter jets, the satellites, all this coming down, man. Okay, it won't be one satellite in orbit. And the return of Yahushua, he's coming to destroy everything. Okay, the weapons he has in space, all this going to come down. Okay, it says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. Okay, so as this devil is constantly trying to present us, you know, that's why he put so much emphasis on the 2/3 to accuse them. Okay, as if, you know, they're the problem of the earth. All right, and them niggas are a problem, but they a problem you created. You the problem of the earth. Okay, and he's gonna just flat out lie, on the prophets. Okay, but Yahweh Shai is coming to execute righteous judgment, man. Okay, and he's gonna be removed. You see, so we should be in the spirit. Let's go here. Let's get one more. All right, it's 441 over here. They call Almighty Yahweh Shai. So yeah, let's go here. And we'll end it here. This is Second Ezra chapter 2. So we should be in this the spirit we should be in. Second Ezra chapter 2, verse 13. Let me see. It says, "Go, ye shall receive, pray for a few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch, man. That's the spirit we should be in. We should be hasting. That the Lord shorten the days, man, and usher in a righteous kingdom, man. This nigga doing too much, man. This nigga got to be stopped and removed from power immediately, man. Okay, he is the problem of the earth. Every complaint is because there's an Edomite that's in power. All right, every complaint that you can think of, that you can fathom, goes back to the fact that it's an Edomite in power, man. So, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing, salutation, and hope, Shalom.